welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast!
Hey!
My name is Vera Flickerman, and I am joined, as always, by my two sun-dappled and very capital-looking co-hosts, Katie and Livy. Claudia Templeton. That's right. You guys are both Toby Jones.
Great.
Thank you.
So honored. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Touché. My hair is very blue. My teeth are large and white. And you guys are both still Toby Jones.
That's fine.
He's very handsome.
Sure. Well, welcome. We are going to be talking about 503 Succession. But before we do that, some info. We are recording this before we are going to retreat, so no updates on that.
Yep.
But I'm sure we had a great time.
I
went.
sure hope so.
I think.
Yeah. So look out for our trip report, I guess, retreat report next week.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the week after that, look out for
Our
our live show.
Live show.
Which happened.
Yeah.
We think.
We hope it happened.
Yeah. So, shall we begin, ladies?
I guess so.
Or
Let's
Toby
do it.
Jones.
Yes.
Cool. So, as mentioned, 503 Succession. Written by Steve Sears and directed by Rick Jacobson.
Rick.
No slow-mo, though. No slow-mo. Nothing slow-mo.
I found one.
You found one slow-mo. One slow-mo.
I think he's trying to move on to different things, but
Okay.
there was a slow-mo in there.
All right, excellent.
When we get there, we could do our King Rick. This episode is Steve Sears' last credited episode of Xena, you guys.
Wow.
Whoa.
This is a big moment, a milestone in the
Yeah.
show that Steve is departing very soon for Sheena.
Okay. Well, I think he will definitely be missed.
He will 100% be missed. My story with Succession is that when we originally watched Xena, it feels so long ago now, 2 years ago
know.
almost.
Holy shit.
I was super jet lagged when we got to this episode, and I fell asleep like literally in the first minute of it. And
Not the episode's fault. Your
saw
jet lag's
nothing
fault.
of it. No, absolutely my fault, not the episode's fault. And I chose not to rewatch it because you guys both told me it was really good, and I knew it was Steve Sears' final episode. And as a Steve Sears fangirl, I was like, oh, I want to have this with me always. The idea that there will always be a Steve Sears episode of Xena for me to watch in the future.
What?
So I sacrificed that for the podcast. I have now watched every Steve Sears episode of Xena. So.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, you
but that
just made that up.
No,
that story.
That is a true.
You were like, I don't feel like watching another one ever. Okay.
True story. That was nice that you had a new episode.
Yeah, that's really cool that you had a new one.
It was a great episode. I'm glad I
like
got
it,
to
yeah.
watch a new episode of Xena
We're
this
not
week.
going to be as mean as we were.
To Chakram?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chakram. No,
So you liked
think,
it?
I think this is a really interesting episode. It has its flaws, like different flaws from Chakram, but kind of like Chakram, it's a great concept that isn't entirely well realized. But it's definitely better realized than Chakram.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. Cool. So this episode begins with some hanky-panky in the
boy.
old bed sheets. There's some...
Black satin bed sheets.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling under there.
Do you think this is meant to be like a fake out? You're like, is this
I think it
Aries
is.
and Xena? Is that what you're supposed to
No,
think?
why would
I
you?
think it's
Why would you
supposed to
think
be-
this
Or
at this
Gabs
point?
and Xena?
Well, you didn't
No,
know.
I
You don't
think it-
know what this is. You do know that it's like definitely a man and a woman because you hear some weird like old man noises.
What?
Like I was just actually surprised that it was Aries. I thought it was like an old king. or
How-
something.
how
like,
would you
like Burger King having
Old
sex?
King.
Burger King having sex.
Okay.
Great. An image I really didn't need in my head.
You're
Well,
welcome.
it's Aries.
It is Aries.
And a lady.
a lady.
Anybody know?
Mavican't.
Mavican't. Sometimes she can, sometimes she can't.
Sometimes she's Mavican't.
Yeah, right, yeah. But to him, she will always be Mavican't.
Mavican't.
So yeah, this is an actress called Xena Lano. I was very shocked to find out she's Russian.
Russian Italian, which is
Right.
a fun mix.
Yeah, she has a very fascinating voice.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what her accent was. I guess it's Russian?
No, it's American.
Oh, to me, she had a sort of one of those European accents where you can't put your finger on it.
I didn't hear any accent from her. That's why I was surprised she was not American. I mean, she is probably via citizenship and whatnot, but...
She gave me some Lagertha vibes. I hope
Oh, is it because of the hair? I kept
hair.
trying to figure out what her hair was pinging me.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of was like, this was popular in the late 90s, which is when this was
or,
shot.
or among Viking women.
Being
Well-
from Vikings, I was going to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I wish this was Lagertha.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, they just had sex. They smashed their underneath them sheets.
Ares blows a smoke ring shaped like the chakram.
Right, which I thought was like very rude.
It was extremely rude
yeah.
because that is clearly him being like, "Oh, Xena."
Well, he was, you know what he
Right?
was thinking of. You know who he was thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's who he's always thinking of.
I loved that.
Or is it?
Because I didn't actually notice it until I rewatched it. I don't know what I was looking at, but I didn't notice it. And then when I did, I was like, that is excellent. Unpack it. Moment of the episode.
I hate his CGI parlor tricks. I think they're a really cartoonish aspect of the character. But this one, because it kind of has that psychological underpinning.
Yes.
I dig it. It's fun.
Well, Mavican't did not dig it.
No, well,
She
it
was
was rude. You're right.
very upset. Well, she's there to basically audition to be the new Xena. And this was picking me a little bit of like a casting couch moment.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that that's the first step to try to impress Ares. First you bed Ares, and then you try to, like, impress him via, martial displays of combat. I was like, this shows what a sleazebag he is, that all his heirs, quote-unquote heirs, first have sex with him.
I know, and so he's just really not having it. In fact, he's like, you got to leave the apartment. I'm going to call you an Uber. And she's like, I don't know what Xena had to say or do to get the job, but I want it, which I thought was a very interesting line.
I thought it was particularly interesting because the previous heirs of Ares, it's so weird to be like Ares heirs, it sounds like a tongue twister, but they were Callisto, Guy from Dirty Six, Agathon.
Callisto wasn't his heir.
She was definitely, like, he used Callisto to try to make Xena jealous.
That could have been like a huge arc.
Yeah, that could have been.
Clearly.
Like all the things
this,
Callisto did, it was all compressed into a single episode. But it certainly was her kind of taking on that role of the new Xena and Ares being like, look, she's so much better than you. But obviously not really meaning it, because every time he does this, he's clearly just doing it to make Xena jealous. This time is interesting, I think, with Mavican't, because he just rejects her outright. He doesn't even try to use her to make Xena jealous. I think this is a new mode of being for Ares' character, and I enjoy seeing it. I loved how he's like, you're not the one. Like, Ares is like the girl in the rom-com, just looking for the one. I can have it all, but you're not the one. He's out there somewhere.
He got really prickly at Mavican't when she said that thing about, like, what did Xena have to say or do? Because she's, like, legitimately answers with, like, she didn't have to say anything. That's what made her be the one.
Well, and this is important setup for the rest of the episode, because he immediately is like, it's not a job, number one. He's like, and then number two is Xena never asked him for anything, he says.
Right.
Do you
which
believe
is
that?
important.
I know, it's weird.
I thought that wasn't quite consistent with Xena's character 10 years ago. She's such a greedy bitch.
And she definitely took that chakram he gave her.
But I can definitely see, that's a good point, but she didn't ask for it. He just gave it to her as a present. I can see her, I guess, not asking the gods for anything. Like, obviously, she's very, like, acquisitive. Like, she's very greedy. I feel like this is something consistent in her character, is that she doesn't really believe in or trust in the Greek gods, even Ares.
So we have an entire ADR goon fight here, which is a clever new trick.
What do you think was going on here? Do you think this was added in post?
I can tell you what's going on. Lucy's pregnant. She's still pregnant, and she will be for a while.
They could have easily. I mean, they do other fight scenes. With
yeah, but this was
stand-ins.
a fun new, easily done way of just like, let's have second unit film some stunties being thrown around.
I have wonder if they realized they like looked at the cut and they said we really need a beat where you see what it is Gabrielle's upset about.
Sure, and we don't want to film it with our actors.
And also the episode, because it's a Steve Sears episode, is already so long and dense.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You can't fit in a whole other action scene. I did miss it, though. I did feel like this whole conflict between Xena and Gabs about Xena being so protective of Gabs.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen that. Like, the previous episode was Chakram, where...
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, since we've seen, like, that dynamic. I mean, obviously we know they're capable of it. We know that's something that Xena does default to, like, being the protector. But the fact that it's been so long, it's odd to suddenly see that being a problem. I think this kind of like I was okay with the idea of Chakram, but I felt like Chakram maybe shouldn't have been second in the run for the season. I also think Succession may sort of not quite be in the right place. Like, I wish it had come after an episode or two that could have seeded this dynamic of Xena feeling weird about Gabrielle's new warrior self and maybe treating her like she's the same old Gabrielle from before.
It's crazy because I got the impression that she wasn't letting her have any bad guys because she just wanted them all to herself, not because she was protecting her.
That's true.
Because
That's
she was
a
just like
Xena thing.
itching to
Because
fight.
she's still a greedy bitch.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like when they brought in this aspect that it was like to protect Gabrielle, I was like, what? Oh. Well, maybe if we saw their faces and not had just like stunties flying around.
I mean, I think you're right that it's more complex than that. It's like, how them negotiating this whole like how to be comrades in arms thing, how to be equals, where in the past they weren't equal. I think that's an interesting dynamic, and it's weird to cover it in a tiny montage.
Yeah.
Without them there.
Yeah, because I agree. There are more
post.
sides to it than just I want to protect this person because they're little and helpless.
Aww. So Ares shows up, and Gabrielle, who's been like getting some water from this Demeter shrine, and she's been talking to the camera about like what her feelings are, basically.
Just muttering to herself.
Always fun.
Yeah.
When you're angry enough to talk to the camera.
So she kind of like, uses this opportunity to complain to Ares about Xena.
That was fun. I like this dynamic.
Yeah.
That Ares is like a sympathetic ear.
Yeah. Well, we know we like Ares and Gabrielle. Like, that was always fascinating to us since season 3, right?
Season 3 is
Yeah.
when that started going, and especially in Forget Me Not, which is kind of... I kept referring back to Forget Me Not while watching this one, and then I had to remind myself, but that wasn't Ares. That was like in Gabrielle's head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that tells you that Gabrielle herself has some kind of attraction to Ares, that would be the person who would show up for her in that episode. So
Yeah, so she complains about all these like bandits that they ran into. She says there were 5 guys, but literally if you watch the scene, there were 9, at least 9.
maybe it's the same guys who keep getting thrown and
guess
thrown
so.
and thrown. I mean, it is. They only have 5 stunties, I assume.
And Ares compliments her on her new, weapons and how she's good at it.
But she hasn't heard from anybody else.
Yeah.
She's
By anybody else, you mean Xena.
Yeah, she's so grateful.
Yeah,
to
she's like,
hear
at least
this.
someone noticed.
Yeah, he gets like right to the root of her problems, like immediately knows what's going on. And I like that he says it's hard to shed your perception of a person, which is like just obviously the issue that Xena is having.
Right. She sees sweet little Gabs.
And doesn't like what she sees when she sees her doing murders, obviously.
Right, yeah.
It's an upsetting thing.
And of course, that was the root of everything in the Rift, was that whole issue of putting each other on the pedestal. So that perception needed to be shed as well.
Suddenly, there's these daggers, and they burst her like little water skins, and, well, of course, it's Mavican't. She's going after
That's so
Gabs.
mean of Mavican't, that rather than, like, kill Gabs right here, she, like...
Kills the water.
Kills the water! She makes her life so much
She's
harder.
got a speech. That's all.
Yeah. The name's Mavican't.
Oh my God.
I'm looking for Xena.
What do y'all think of Mavicant's costume?
It's a costume.
Dude, that lady
Jane Holland.
got a lot of boob. That's all I could think about.
I was kind of trying to be in the Jane Holland defense squad when we were talking about her in Chakram, but I gotta say I hate this costume. I hate Mavican's costume. To me, it looks so like Vegas showgirl. It just seems so tacky.
That's a very good word for a lot of season 5 looks. Yeah.
And I was trying to like make it fit with the character because she's such a poser. She is tacky in a way. She's trying to like be the new Xena, but she looks like she's wearing, just like a store-bought Xena costume, not the real thing.
Store-bought.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like the episode wasn't enough in touch with that aspect of her, and it just was a bad costume.
Yeah.
And it sucked because
no good.
I was reading fan responses to this episode, and for Mavican't, who's obviously, not a classic character, but I feel like people were so mean about her, and I think a lot of it was the costume. They were just hung up on the boobs. Like
it was a lot of boobs.
Yeah, it's
Too
a lot
many
of
boobs.
But I felt bad because I was like, that's not
3, 4.
There's just so much.
She was put in that.
Yeah,
it's kind of a frustrating situation where you're like, she's doing the best she can. But they put her in this stupid costume.
It's true. Again, going back to what we said last time, they're really trying to draw your eye away from Lucy.
It ain't working.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was the goal here. It's just that she's
always
supposed to be
goal.
this like the way she was even introduced is like this like Aries fangirl like person like having sex with him. There's there's definitely a coin in the jar element to the character that isn't even
for sure.
Yeah.
She gave me a lot of like Velasca vibes.
Good old Velasca.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, how she just kind of like shows up, stands, and kind of like demands things with this like voice.
I like they both are very ambitious, and it's like I think that can obviously is one of the things that people have a horrible problem as reading as like a bad characteristic in these characters who are set up as antagonists, but like if you flip it, they're just trying to get what they want. They're fun.
I think it's also interesting because we'll soon find out that Mavican't is really obsessed with fame and with destiny. So she's like a gender-swapped Caesar, which is a cool idea.
Well, she is not quite on those levels.
No,
but,
I mean, that's part of what's sad about the character. She's a wannabe.
I think that her best sort of comparison is to go a little bit meta and just talk about like the Hollywood starlet. That really works, in my opinion, especially how it started with that bet scene. Mavican't goes, I want to kill Xena, and I understand that killing you is the best way to meet her. And then she throws this big old spear. Gabrielle whips out her side, but Xena catches the spear and breaks it over her knee.
It's a good move.
I loved Mavican't because she was like, that was incredible!
I mean, she's a Xena fangirl, too.
And she's like, Xena, you're the one person where the hype isn't enough, which is very true.
Then we see that Mavicant's preferred weapon is like projectiles. She throws like little daggers and like little ninja star type things. Yeah. That's like her thing.
Yeah. And Xena whips out the chakram and like throws it. It does its like little split thing.
Right. Did you notice the noise it makes?
What
is
it?
Really cool. It has almost like a ringing sound. It reminded me of when you wet your finger and put it around the rim of the wine glass. It has this more like spiritual sound to it.
Nice.
Which I thought was really cool.
Well, there's a lot of like flipping now to flip away from the two chakrams, and
it's a lot harder to flip away from two chakrams.
There's a lot going on.
So King Rick alert.
Oh, okay.
There's a slow-mo moment here where Xena, like, flips her sword. She, like, throws it in the air, flips it, and they, like, slow it down. So you're like, ooh, look. And also it's just nice because, like, ooh, Lucy did a stunt. Pregnant Lucy still does things.
Yay!
In slow-mo.
I guess it's time to talk about her look here in this fight because we're introduced to a whole new thing.
Right, they went shopping.
This was not a scene that we saw, right? So the last episode, she was wearing that horrible, like, shirt dress.
Dippy.
Yeah. And suddenly, Gabs is still wearing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So that's consistent. Xena has a whole new outfit.
Yeah. It's meant to look a bit like her old outfit.
Right.
But the color scheme is different.
Yeah, the color scheme is different. I think that new costume designer is much more interested in the black leather.
Can I just say, I really like that she has pants. I just like that as part of her outfit.
Yeah.
It's nice to see
She's
pants.
very covered, and that's
and I feel like she
practical and
should
good.
be always wearing pants, and I
Right.
just love seeing the pants.
This is where I come in and say my favorite costume choice ever is her new boots. They're very sleek and
they go
gorgeous.
with the pants, like the whole look.
They go with the pants. However, it is weird that they're. I don't know. What would you guys? Did you guys think that there was like a missing scene where like someone talks about this? Because like, why
Maybe.
would Xena fucking
It's
choose
like
to wear
almost
this
like they were
suddenly?
like. It's almost like it's like they're not. They're trying to make you think it's the same outfit, but you know that it's not. It's like they're like,
clearly
don't
not.
mention it.
They won't
It's
notice.
almost the same. No one will care.
It's crazy. That's
yeah.
like the thing that's like, because it's unmentioned, it
Yeah.
really stands out.
Right.
Like, I don't see her shopping being like, I don't want to wear my old outfit. I'm going to choose to wear
love
this.
This one with the blue flappy dress part.
Do you think they should have addressed her pregnancy sooner than they did? Is that part of the issue? Is just having to go through a whole episode
Yeah.
that's sort of like business
For
as
sure.
usual?
For sure. With this outfit that she chose herself for some reason.
Because it's part of the season, there was no reason to like
wait.
pretend
To wait,
that it wasn't
yeah.
happening.
So
I think
weird.
Steve had this cool idea for a script, and they decided to do it now. And this was literally the only moment when they could do it, because after this, Xena's pregnant, and it doesn't make sense to put her into a like arena context as much.
Well, I have to say that then they should have done like the clever blocking and using doubles and stuff. Like they should have only had like medium shots of her, above waist or whatever, and then used her doubles for running around and wide shots and stuff.
And given her just a maternity version of her more iconic costume.
Yeah, but we wouldn't see that part. Like, we wouldn't see that part. We would only see, like, her face and,
Just
and
her
like,
face.
her
We
torso.
see mostly just
She'll
her
just
face.
Skype in.
No.
We see mostly her face this episode in the sense that like she's just snarling her way through the whole thing. It's amazing. There's so many snarl close-ups starting now.
I like when Ares turns up and breaks them up, and his reaction is, "What in the name of me is going on here?"
No.
I love
I hate
Ares.
that.
I love that
Ares
line.
I do like that he was mad that they were destroying Demeter's, shrine.
This seemed important to me because this is the Twilight of the Gods season, and to see Ares being protective of the other gods, like
Yeah.
keep the family, like,
Right, yeah.
is a side of him that you're going to see a lot more of very soon. Mavican't immediately starts up with her deeply insecure banter, which is like, tell him how good I am, Xena. Tell him. Which I was like, oh, girl, you do not seem confident at all when you say that.
I loved Cena's response, though, that she's good enough to die young. Yeah.
That
her
was sad.
attitude, yeah.
That was really sad. Yeah, I mean, Xena sees herself in this girl,
Yeah.
of course, because this was once Xena.
Then Mavicant's like pissed about this, so she throws her little dagger thing, and before Xena could react, it's Gabs who throws her sai.
Yeah.
And this knocks the little dagger thing out of the way, and everyone's like super impressed, like, what?
Yeah.
And including Gabs, who's like, yeah, I did that.
That's
And
right.
especially Xena.
This reminded me a bit of when Najara did the arrow catch. You know, this
Yeah.
person who you like don't think of as being the equal of Xena suddenly does a thing, and you're like, oh shit. So it's cool to see a moment like that for Gabs.
And then this makes Ares kind of get an idea, and
Yeah.
he opens up this portal.
I like that he just immediately has this idea. Like,
know.
Yeah.
Has he been thinking about this?
He's
as
like,
a
I'd love to see everybody duking it out. I mean, he clearly has. He
Yeah.
has been thinking about this scenario. He's going to tell us exactly what he's been thinking about. So yeah, I wonder exactly how choreographed this is. The whole idea that Mavican't finds Xena here at this shrine and starts something there where apparently they're not allowed to fight. This all feels very convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to plan a perfect Hunger Games. So, while Ares no longer has Seneca Crane's crazy beard, he still can make it happen.
Oh, I can't wait for all the Hunger Games
Oh,
jokes.
yeah.
Here they come.
Yeah, so
Excited.
he lays down some rules about this that...
Okay.
So if Mavican't kills Xena, then she leaves the portal and, becomes the heir. And if Xena kills Mavican't, then she has to stay
In the bubble.
in this crazy arena. And
you're going to, Gabrielle.
yeah, exactly.
That's all he says.
Make no sense when you're just watching it. You're like, kind of like, what?
It's the funniest thing about this is he starts it with the rules are simple and then talks for 2 minutes. And it's like so confusing.
And if anyone needs his help, they can just call his name and he will help them out. So Mavican't, of course, is like, wee! And flips right into the portal.
Flips it out.
Yeah. Xena is like, Aries, no, we're not into this at all. We were just here hanging out, doing our own thing, getting some water. Like, suddenly we're forced to do this? No. She does this, like, snooty head shake, which I thought was really good.
See? She sneers her way through the episode.
Yeah. And then Aries, revs up the portal, like, sucks Gabs into it. So Xena's like, okay, fine.
I like the way they're clinging at first to not get sucked in. It's nice.
That's always nice. Yeah, and the wind through the hair, always fun.
And he, like, waves by at them. A little wave.
He's a lot of fun this episode.
I love him in this episode.
I like when he's, like, in his full kind of sarcastic mode, but yet you see the vulnerability under it. This is, like peak Aries for me. This is good shit.
So let the games begin, guys.
All right.
Gabrielle wakes up.
I love this cut. Yeah, like from the portal to just like smash cut. She's just like, where the fuck is she?
Yeah, it's like a dark room with a spotlight. She calls Xena's name. It echoes, and there's
like
no
impossibly
Xena.
echoes. You're like, she's in just
it goes on for
giant
forever.
space, this void.
So she just like sad crouches.
That crouch is very strange. I like choice.
I like this visual though. This is some cool shit from King Rick.
I agree. It's a cool visual.
It's surreal. You're just like, well, tiny little Gabs and giant black void.
Why just crouch though?
To make her look small, but I mean,
I know.
She always looks small.
Just crouching.
I would just, if
weird.
it was me in the scenario, I would just plop down.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, what is this?
She could have just gone on her knees. That would have been like less
would have
funny.
worked better.
And Xena wakes up in the Hunger Games.
Yay!
She calls for Gabrielle. Of course, there's no answer. Mavican't flips in. No weapons, no Gabrielle. So they fight.
But Xena, of course, is holding back because she heard
can't
the
kill her,
rules.
yeah.
And Mavican't is like, ha ha ha, you can't kill me. This is great.
Ugh, she has a line. You know
She
what,
doesn't-
sweetie?
Sweetie.
You talk too much. I hate when anyone says sweetie.
I'm going to throw a coin in for that. I agree. It's
That's a bad one.
super obnoxious.
Well, but she has a face scratchy now.
Yeah,
That's
everybody has
true.
some good facial wounds.
Good wounds.
And then the sun goes down.
Yes.
And suddenly, Gabrielle wakes up in the arena.
Okay.
And Xena shows up in the weird nebulous
Oh.
place.
Weird.
But
Bizarre.
she gets a sweeter deal because she
Yeah.
has like the
She has
giant,
Netflix.
the
Yeah.
giant flat screen.
That's rude.
Yeah, she has to watch.
That is intriguing that Ares has set this up so that Gabrielle knows nothing and Xena knows everything. He's kind of giving Xena the God's eye view.
Is this like in his head?
I mean, it's sort of.
This is little room.
I mean, we'll eventually see like that this room is like an annex for his like temple with that like giant devil throne.
Oh, right.
But it does sort of feel like like his space, like he can do what he wants in there.
Well, it's really sweet. Xena starts talking to the TV. She's really into it. Talking to Gabs.
Yeah, I mean, this seems important to her that finally she can just like watch Gabs do her thing and appreciate her.
Yes.
What is this thing that Gabs is doing right now?
She's creeping through some bushes.
She's laying like a bunch of rope down. She clearly is up to something. What's going on? So Mavican't jumps in to taunt her, but Gabrielle's ready for her.
Right. So this is some cool Gabrielle Amazon training.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And it's, I like when Gabrielle gets to sort of be the brains, you know, using like non-violent ways of diffusing fights.
Yeah, she's like, Amazon's invented tree fighting, and the first thing you learn is to cover your tracks, bitch. So she like pulls on the rope, and it kind of grabs Mavican't up.
And this is fun because you see Xena watching when Gabrielle's setting the trap. Xena doesn't like get what's going on. You see her kind of making faces like,
what are you doing?
What's up with this?
Talking to the TV, she says.
Yeah.
What are you doing, literally?
Oh, good. All right. So the audience doesn't have to infer that from her faces.
Nope.
There's also a really cool shot in here where it's almost like a split screen. You have Xena on the left under the spotlight, and then the flat screen on the right with Gabs. And it's one of the only shots in this episode where they're on screen together. I thought that was a very clever Rick thing of like putting your leads there.
So Gabrielle has like this like, spear on Mavican't, and she's like, Ares said Xena couldn't kill you. He didn't say anything about me. But Mavican't fights back and gets the rope around Gabrielle's throat, and this was really violent and amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was upsetting.
Yeah.
Lots of choking.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
Vera's into choking.
Yeah. And there's a great Xena reaction shots watching this. She's like really flipping out.
I feel like, do you feel like, is Mavican't a better fighter than Gabrielle?
Yes. Most people are, guys.
Oh, Gabrielle's good.
She just got this way. Like, this is really...
I feel like Gabrielle...
She's been practicing. She said so earlier. Yeah. Gosh.
And Gabrielle has sort of the same issue she always has, which is, like, in a fight, she second-guesses herself a little bit, I think. Like, she doesn't want to kill Mavican't, even though she's figured out the riddle. Even here, before she knows what the stakes are, she's like, well, I don't actually, like, want to do this.
I mean, she threatens her, but doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, she threatens.
Yeah.
She's trying to still, like, shut it down.
Yeah, so Mavican't, is like, well, I could kill you, but I'm not gonna.
Because she knows Xena would, quote unquote, do something sensible if she did. Yeah. Oh, and then Xena's still watching and she's really sweet about Gabrielle being okay. This is just gonna be me being like, every time Xena says something to the screen that's cute, I'll just mention it.
That
Please
good.
do.
Good role.
That might have been the last time. I don't remember. It's sweet. She's like, you're going to be okay, blah.
Yeah, it's so sweet because she keeps repeating it, which makes it sound like she really doesn't believe it.
She does.
Yeah.
But it's like she's convincing herself that Mavican't won't kill her because she knows that, it's a mistake.
So she knocks her out, and then, the next time we see something, it's that Gabrielle wakes up in a cage. So Mavican't has constructed this, like, cage that she's strung up.
It looks like the same cage from Sins of the Past that Gabrielle gets trapped in.
Probably is.
Very similar.
Yeah.
I want to point out the lighting here, and lighting throughout this episode is very important because we're soon going to find out that the rules are dependent on night and day. So this is just like, it's a little bit lighter than night. You know that like day is about to break.
Yeah, so Mavican't is confused as to why Xena didn't attack during the night. She's certain that, that's what she would do. That's what anybody would do under the cover of darkness. She's like, oh, that's a little weird. And she's there sharpening a spear, right?
She sits down with Gabs, and they have a little heart-to-heart about, like, what's it like to, like, travel with Xena.
I like she goes, it's like a brush with eternity, isn't it?
It seems important in this episode that's called Succession, and is, like, about legacy, how to be immortal. Like, whether that means having an heir or just becoming famous or what. I like, that Mavican't represents, like, one half of that debate. Either you have a successor or you just become so famous that people never forget you.
See, this is weird as to why they didn't already have her be pregnant in this one. Again, you're talking about
I was
heirs,
thinking about that. Yeah.
Succession.
Huh. I do wonder if Steve had stuck around and done more, he would have connected it maybe more explicitly. Yeah.
Well, here she's also talking to Gabrielle about how she's like writing the Xena scrolls.
Right, yeah. She's making the legend true.
Right, exactly. And I saw an interesting comment that was about like the sort of debates that people would have about if Gabrielle was a warrior or if she's a bard. And I'm like, why not both?
A warrior bard is a really cool.
I don't see how you can't like be a warrior and then, write in your journal.
Why not both?
Yeah.
But it's true that the show itself tends to make them seem mutually exclusive.
Right?
Like now that she's embraced warriorness, she's like not being a bard.
But ultimately they're not,
Yeah, it's weird to me, even here, like Mavican't says to her, like, you should write more. I mean, I took that as meaning you should write about me.
She did say
Do you want to be my little buddy?
She wants her to write scrolls about her because then she's going to become super famous.
Oh, she also, Mavican't was like, she says she's gonna kill Xena or whatever, but she's also has the opposite. If she loses, she still thinks she's gonna be remembered because she's gonna be like written about. She says, win or lose, I'll be remembered. And I'm like, that's
not how
you're
that
not
works.
Gonna, and like Gabrielle will be like, some stupid idiot tried to do this thing and it was dumb. Like that's how she'll be remembered.
I like that moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
These are lines that made Mavican't.
Did it make you think of Achilles in Troy? Because that's such a big deal in Troy, like being remembered. He's always like,
yeah.
What's his big line?
Immortality! Take it! It's yours! No, for real though, it is very important, and I this is like why I wish Mavican't was better, because
the
these
ideas
lines
are really interesting.
are great, and they're very complex. Just because she takes into consideration the fact that she might not even like win. It's not like she's a deluded person being like, I'm totally gonna kill Xena. And remember like all those guys in season 1 going like, I'm the man who killed Xena. Like, I thought she was going to say that. I'm going to be like the first woman who killed Xena. But
she dies every season, so I just like some of the credit.
But alas, no. I mean, she's like legit, win or lose, she's going to be remembered.
I also feel like there's an undertone here about the way that women are written out of history.
Right.
There's that moment where she's like, I'm going to be remembered. And Gabrielle's response is, history is fickle. Which to me, it's almost like Gabs knows that her name isn't going to be on the Xena scrolls. She knows that, like, best laid plans. You think you're going to be famous. Like, you don't have control over this, especially if you're a woman.
Her response is also, you need help.
She does. I feel bad for Mavican't. I think a different approach to this character would have made her very sympathetic and memorable.
Yeah, very fascinating. Kind of like, it would have... I wish they kind of went the route of like Najara, where you really get that person.
The insecurity of it, I just find very powerful.
Right. A lot of this has to do with the casting, unfortunately, and the choices made around this character. Sad. I wanted to point out something that was really awesome about the scene, which is that Renee doing awesome acting, which is all the time, guys, I know.
Wasn't her arms in the cage?
All of it,
are like really good. All right,
no, her arms aren't acting.
I know, but they're there,
they
holding the cage. All right, whatever.
And also they're covered in sexy wounds, like little slashes on her.
Of course, everybody has a lot of sexy
smart
wounds.
thing. Go ahead.
It's not. Thank you. No, it is hardly a smart thing, but I enjoyed her choices here as an actor because Gabrielle, just was knocked out. So when she reawakens, she has a really, really big headache. And so she tries to stand up. She can't. And when Mavican't starts getting very animated and comes near her and raises her voice, I really liked how Renee put her hands over her ears.
Oh.
That was like, she was like, you're too loud.
Oh.
Yeah, it was such a unnecessary thing, but awesome thing,
Mavican't has a line that I think is very trademark Steve Sears, where she says, the difference between us and the gods, they're immortal because we made them that way.
Yeah.
This is just, one of those great little pieces of just Steve thinky thoughts thrown into the episode to make you go, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
But, isn't that interesting that Mavican't is aware of such a thing? Has these thoughts?
Yeah, Mavican't seems like a thinker, which is funny considering some of her decision-making throughout this episode. But yeah, I think all these thoughts about what it means to be famous and why immortality is important to humans, I think that's interesting material.
And she goes, don't you think that Xena had a moment where she did it all for destiny? And
the D word.
Yeah, Xena on her big screen really perks up at that.
Destiny, I've heard that one before.
So then the sun is rising now, and we have this great moment, the first, play of the episode. Gabrielle turns into Xena.
I loved how this was staged. This to me felt almost like a monster transformation.
Yeah, it was a werewolf situation.
Yeah.
Reverse werewolf for you.
No doubt about it.
And they did the morphing really well.
Sun's up, wolf's out.
Aww.
I like how
morph,
Gabs throws her head back, so you have a lot of the tendons in the neck.
Oh yeah.
And that then you'd have Xena doing the same thing, and it did feel slightly monstery. Yeah, it was cool.
It's strange.
It's very weird. I was trying to think of other examples of this happening.
You know what it is.
I could only think of one.
Yeah, go for it.
It's Buffy. Season 5. Xena did it first because that won't be for another 2 years on Buffy.
Woo!
But this is just to me such an ingenious idea. It's just really cool, high concept stuff that Xena and Gabs are sharing the same body.
It was a neat trick by Aries for sure.
Very neat.
And my favorite thing is Mavican's reaction to it.
She thinks it's hysterical.
She laughs and laughs and laughs.
And she keeps saying, "That's so funny."
Yeah. Because it is.
And of course, the subtextiness of them sharing the same body.
Yeah, there's a Gabrielle in Xena. There's a Xena in a Gabrielle.
Xena in the streets, Gabrielle in the sheets.
Oh my god.
Xena is just super grumpy cat in the cage, though. Because, you know, she's just trapped there now.
And I guess she has Gabrielle's headache, so that's no fun.
Aww. So Xena, of course, immediately tries to convince Mavican't that chasing her destiny has no good end, and she can't win.
Yeah, I like this, that she tries to talk her down.
Yeah, and if they work together, they're going to defeat Ares.
And Mavicant's response is that if she stops fighting, she loses. Again, you can see how this would have been a sympathetic, like it's in the writing. You can see the complexity of the character.
This is literally the end of the Hunger Games.
Oh no!
Or if they don't fight, the Capitol loses.
Yeah, she's trying to Katniss Everdeen her way out of this.
Where are those berries?
Xena did it first.
Yeah, but Mavican't is Clove, and she throws her spears. She's like, if I don't walk this path, I'm nothing. We have this moment where all these, like, spears are flying at Xena, and she, you know, she's in a cage. She can't really go that far. She, like, jumps this way, jumps that way, but, oh no, one spear! Oh gosh, it definitely skewered her right in the stomach.
Oh, I'm so worried.
Mavican't comes over, and she's like, yay, I totally win!
Yay, I did it! Yes!
And nope, it's a fake out.
I love that Xena starts beating her with it. It's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah, Xena breaks out of the cage.
This was actually really cool. The whole way this was staged, how she's like hits her with the cage. She like flips the cage over Mavican't and it breaks and she comes out. I thought this was just a nice piece of fight choreography.
There's some slow-mo in here.
Hey, Rick. But I like, you know, Rick is working with this very constricted environment. You know, it's just these two characters, or those two characters. This, you know, a fight in where one character is inside a cage. That's a really cool challenge, and he rises to the occasion. Like, you think about this as compared to something like A Good Day, where it was just such, like, the scale of that was so massive. It's cool to see Rick kind of shrink his canvas down to something really small and still make it exciting.
So Xena breaks out of the cage, and Mavican't has scampered. And as she runs away, she's like, ah ha ha, I just have to wait for sundown and Gabrielle.
What do you think of that moment? Do you think she's
good.
underestimating Gabs? I think so. But she also knows how to get under Xena's skin, which is threatening to hurt Gabrielle.
Exactly.
I also loved her line earlier where she's like, oh, Ares is so smart. He, like, separated you and Gabrielle because that if Gabrielle was around, you'd be distracted. I liked that implication.
All right, so Xena, you know, has to pass her day, and so she's getting a little drinky poo from the river.
And she finds some really, like, styrofoam rocks.
I was like, she noticed the set rocks.
She's like, oh, these rocks aren't rocks. Ares, could you not afford actual rocks?
Yeah, well, he shows up, and there's, you know, blah, blah, blah dialogue.
I like this dialogue. Fuck you, Vera. This is some of my favorite stuff. How she teases him, like, did you do all this to watch your new girlfriend fight? And his immediate response, like rapid fire, is, no, I did it to watch my old girlfriend fight.
Yeah. Oh, it's real low, too. No.
Yeah, very low voice, very sexy. He's coming on strong here, actually. It's interesting to compare his behavior here with Xena with him and Gabs and him with Mavican't. Like, he's so loose and fun with Xena. You do feel like he's kind of put her on his level with that God's eye view. You feel like he can kind of just put his arm around her and be like, here's what I'm up to.
They have a history.
What do you think, babe?
Yeah.
I also like that they brought in a little mention there of Caesar and the Romans, some nice continuity since Ares was not around for season 4. So he gets to have a tiny bit of commentary on it.
Xena starts kind of figuring out what's going on. Basically that Ares wants Gabrielle to kill Mavican't.
Right.
She's not into this.
And also that Gabrielle herself has figured that out. You know, that Gabrielle figured out that she could kill Mavican't. So it's nice to hear Gabs being complimented as being smart. She is smart.
The most smartest.
But why is Ares into this? What could be the reason?
Yeah. So now we kind of go to see what Mavicant's up to. She's kind of making like little like arrowheads, it looks like.
Yeah.
Sharpening a rock for a long time.
Yeah, she loves pointy little things
Yeah,
to
she
throw.
loves the little projectiles.
And then she sees like a smoky like fire situation, and she's like, "Oh, Xena wants me to find her."
And Xena does. This is like the most elaborate Home Alone booby trap situation.
It's weird because you don't really understand what's going on with like most of it for a while.
I still am not 100% clear on the styrofoam dust.
She made a smoke signal that
you
made
throw
Mavican't come to her.
You throw the styrofoam onto the campfire and it makes it smoky. And then later she almost uses it to blind her. She throws it in her face.
Yeah.
I don't know. The episode just made such a big deal about those styrofoam rocks. I was like, what? Are they the key to everything? What do the rocks do?
So Mavican't shows up and she has like a spear and she has a shield made out of sticks. She's been doing some crafts.
It's interesting, that she builds weapons. That's what she does in her spare time. And Xena and Gabrielle both build traps.
Right, yeah.
They're smarter opponents. They're not aggressive. They're defensive. Both of them.
Very Katniss Everdeen of them, huh?
Mm-hmm. How do you win,
Yeah.
Yep.
the Hunger Games?
You hide in the trees.
Why were there not like sequels to this episode?
Right?
Where's the catching fire of this?
Oh God, yes, please. The best. Actually, this was inspired by like a Star Trek, of course.
I
episode.
betcha. Yeah. I betcha there's a lot of stuff that's a Star Trek reference that we just don't.
Yeah,
miss.
right over our heads.
Ours is a Susan
it's like
Collins watches
someone
this
is
and
out
wrote
there
the Hunger
going,
Games.
Star Trek did it first.
Yeah.
We're like, whoa.
Well, it definitely did. Hey, we're
Sorry.
saying it right now. Kirk had to fight this like reptilian monster. It's the thing that happened.
But apparently that Star Trek episode got the idea from a short story. So short story did it first.
Oh, man.
Is our motto tongue-in-cheek, and has it always been?
Wait, are you saying that Xena doesn't actually get the credit for inventing storytelling?
Oh my god!
Are you saying things existed before Xena?
I'm pretty sure there's a cave painting in France that had an arena, and had a little stick figure, and then another stick figure. Okay, so Mavicant's like, I hate to kill you, Xena. There's so many things I could learn from you. Like, how do you know when you're being attacked? And Xena answers, just always assume you will be. She goes, so it's more philosophical than a gift.
Yeah.
Must be tiring on the soul. This is so Steve Sears. I'm gonna miss this dude so much, having the characters talk this way in the middle of a fight scene. You're just like, what?
But I like she's like fangirling her, you know? She like wants to kill her, but also really admires her legitimately, you know?
Yeah, and wants to learn.
Yeah.
I do see, and like there were positives to this character. She reminds me of Baby Xena.
Yeah.
The
Collecting of all the cool things from people.
It's too bad that wasn't played up a little more as it has been like with Amaris or back in the day with Tara.
Oh gosh.
Can you imagine if this was Tara?
So Xena throws her smoke bomb, it stuns Mavican't. And
ties
then-
her up with some
with thorny ropes.
That looked horrible.
Oh.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit sexy because she's like crouched on top of her. But it's also like, I was like, ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
It's the sound
hardcore.
design, 'cause there's a lot of like crunchy leather.
Oh yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of leather in this.
Interesting
yeah.
sound design.
Oh no, guys, the sun is setting, and Xena gabifies.
Okay, and she's,
Gabifies.
this is very, I mean, the whole thing, as you were saying, but like she's very on top of her, and then all of a sudden it's like Gabrielle on top of her, and it's very,
Well, it's very fascinating because Xena clearly has the upper hand here. Mavicant's really kind of like,
And that was Xena's strategy, was how can I get Mavican't on the back foot so that Gabs has an advantage when she comes to.
Mistimed this fight, I guess. And when Gabs becomes the person on top here, Mavicant's like, haha, never mind, and like headbutts her and immediately gets out of those thorny ropes.
Yeah. Well, Xena maybe underestimated the disorientation that seems to happen when they turn from one to the other. It doesn't seem like an immediate, like, cool, I'm on top of things.
Yeah.
It's like, what just happened? Whoa.
Yeah, not fair.
So then Mavican't threatens Gabs with this like wooden dagger thing that she has, and it kind of explains the episode.
Gabs hasn't figured it out, which makes sense because she can't see.
She doesn't have the screen,
TV. And Xena had the advantage, and she came to in the same cage that Gabs was in. So the answer was obvious, but Gabs doesn't have that experience.
Right, yeah. So she needs Mavican't to explain it to her. And Xena apparently has left her a gift there.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think that Xena leaves her? A staff.
Right. Well, I think it's practical because that's the only thing you really can have there. There are a lot of sticks around.
Yeah, it would be hard to fashion a little sigh there.
She could have wood carved like how Mavican't spends her time, but no.
But I thought this was a great detail in that it tells you something about how Xena is still kind of stuck in the season 3 paradigm of Gabrielle.
But how would she hide the note?
Just curl it up, really small.
I don't know. This is the best way to camouflage a note as well. But yes, the symbolism is interesting.
So Gabs sees it and she's like, oh, cool, and picks it up, and picking it up releases this like obstacle course that Xena spent all day setting up.
Oh my god, this was so elaborate.
Yeah, it was like
she like somehow sawed down an entire tree. I don't know how she did that. Or did she pick up a fallen tree, like a whole tree?
It was like one of those things where like you throw the little ball and then like the mouse trap goes and then like this thing goes and like all that. Like,
trouble.
Like, the whole thing happens. But anyway, it ends up with Mavican't being treed.
But then Mavican't throws her little arrowhead thing at Gabrielle's shoulder.
Ouch!
Correct.
It's weird how the episode makes such a big deal out of this wound.
Yes.
It didn't look that bad. But yet everybody's very concerned.
But it kind of does later. It's like,
I mean, it's a wound.
And sure, well, yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't fatal.
Literally every character asks after it. Like Mavican't does, Ares does, Xena does. I was like, you guys, she's okay. Calm down.
It's pretty gross.
A flesh
get
wound.
Infected, okay?
I mean, so could all of their like facial wounds.
Whatever. That's well, yeah, it wasn't as deep as all that, I guess. It looked like it just went in really far.
It sort of looks like a weird divot in her shoulder. Yeah, it was gross.
It's just like a hole. It's gross.
So Gabrielle, skedaddles out of there.
So then we're back to Xena in her TV room.
Yeah, she's very helpless. She's just like wants to help Gabrielle so much.
She did all she could, and like in a minute, basically everything she did is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. She spent all day.
Fucking annoying.
So we get a cool shot. The camera spins around Xena.
Because her screen turns off.
Yeah, her screen turns off. The camera spins around the darkness, and the darkness opens up into a room. And this is some kind of Ares throne room situation.
Yeah.
Wait, does he not spin in a chair? It's the camera the whole time?
I think it's just
Oh my god, I thought he spun around
a
a chair. I'm clearly not paying attention.
Well, you were thinking of all those times he had done that in the past.
Maybe. He does love a good chair spin.
Yeah. So he goes, you have to like her style, the focus, the intensity, the ability to learn and adapt. She is just incredible.
It's so fun. He's totally talking about Mavican't. He didn't specify.
100%
You're like, oh my
Mavican't.
god, definitely talking about Mavican't.
And Xena, of course, only thinks about herself here. And she's like, why don't you just give up on me? And he goes, I have.
Do you think Xena's jealous of Mavican't? Quote unquote Mavican't?
Maybe,
Certainly that's what Ares is trying to do.
An underlying
He's like,
jealousy.
I'm going to make Xena jealous, and she's not going to be sure who she's even jealous of. It's perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, like he says, I've given up on you, and then the killer line, and what makes you think I was talking about Mavican't?
Dun dun dun!
Oh,
it's
shit!
It's so good!
It's so good.
What a good twist!
Love this.
I mean, obviously we've had a little hint about it in the fact that he had that conversation with Gabrielle at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
But
it was a stunner.
Really a great revelation.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So it's a test for Gabs. And immediately, as soon as Xena figures it out, she's like, she will never follow you.
Oh. This reminded me of Luke Skywalker being taunted by Darth Vader about Leia turning to the dark side. And he loses his shit. And yeah, Xena also loses her shit.
Well, Ares has a burn. He's like, how well do you really know her anymore?
Whoa!
Oh my god.
This is a moment where I'm so into it. I'm so into everything this episode's laying down in terms of like the way the character dynamics are going to evolve. They don't actually evolve this way, like because this is Steve Sears' final episode. But you can imagine like what he would have done with this triangle. Yeah. It's so delicious,
so good.
Xena is like so mad. And I love how mad she is, and it's like lit really dark, so her face is like she looks even more angry because they're like just lit in like
they're top
scary
lit, like,
flashlight way.
Exactly.
Like oh no, from the other way, opposite flashlight. But you know what I mean, just like a
harsh,
scariness, harsh.
Light,
and her being that way is like such a turn on for Aries because he's like, there it is, there's that like fire that you lost. Yeah, so good.
Aries, I feel, has over the last couple of seasons felt like increasingly powerless with Xena. Like, he doesn't even have the power to piss her off. So I love that he's finally found a way to do it, and you can tell he's super stoked about it. I mean, immediately, as soon as he reveals his master plan with Gabs, his first question is, "You're not jealous?" Like, obviously that's part of his master plan here. I mean, I think he really does honestly want Gabrielle to be his heir. I think he really does respect her. We've seen that dynamic between them. But at the same time, the idea that it's gonna really make Xena so angry at him, like that is obviously part of it. He hasn't abandoned Xena. The whole premise of this episode that he's moved on from Xena and needs a new heir is obviously fake because he never moves on. He can't move on.
No way.
But I think he's realizing that like he can have with Gabrielle what he had with 10 years ago Xena while still having Xena in her current form.
So Gabs is running around the arena, and Mavicant's tracking her blood. You know, does anybody, like, sleep? Mavicant hasn't slept in days or whatever.
No, they're not going to sleep. Yeah. Xena and Gabrielle, if they were smart, they'd nap in the TV room because that's a huge advantage over Mavican't, that they're switching shifts, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas Mavican't has to be on 24/7.
I guess maybe you don't see it, but like Xena was making the traps and stuff. Mavican't, maybe she was just taking
napping.
a nap.
Yeah, little naps. So Gabrielle is like doing like a sad campfire. And
it's just bloody and cool here.
Yeah.
Bloody and cool.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, good stuff.
This is where she discovers that papyrus situation on her staff.
Yes.
Which is so clever.
This is really nice. Yeah, and I felt like, you know, we were just talking about how Gabs is a warrior bard. Here's a staff with a papyrus tied around it.
Sorry, Xena's the bard here. Like, why did she write it so poetically?
Yeah, it was nice. Because that's how Xena rolls, apparently. Yeah, I love that line about that she and Gabs have been combined the same way the world shares day and night. You never see the two together. That's so beautiful.
That's too beautiful.
So nice. Xena, we never knew you had it in you.
I know.
Only when you're being written by Steve Sears.
Later, she just does the XOXO lipstick kiss. That's canon.
That is canon. And I like also the continuity that the note, in the note she warns Gabrielle that Ares wants her to kill Mavican't, but she still doesn't know why yet, whereas now Xena has figured out the why, but she didn't have a chance to write that in the note.
Right, and Ares in his throne room taunted Xena that, Gabrielle will follow him once she hears his offer.
His offer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is, we're going to see the offer. I'll wait for it. I have questions.
Okay.
Well, the offer comes now because Gabrielle is washing her wound, and Ares shows up.
And he's immediately like, "How's your wound? Are you okay?" And you're like, "Calm down, dude. It's just your shoulder. God." So I like this because, you know, the whole episode is about how Xena has this mistaken opinion of Gabrielle. Ares turns it around and says, "You and Xena both have a mistaken opinion of me. Like, I've changed over the course of the seasons of Xena Warrior Princess, and no one has noticed."
I noticed that your hair's shorter, your beard's much better, you're looking much better.
He makes his offer. This is interesting. I personally find it not convincing in the least. Like, this was not a good enough offer.
Well, he goes, "What I need is someone strong enough to lead people. I think the key is to find someone who has learned how to fight, but has the discretion not to. That is something Xena never had.
He explains that Xena, while Gabrielle takes over as this, wise leader figure, Xena's gonna go home and live with her mother and spend the rest of her years safe in the knowledge that someone she trusts is in control. What? That is bonkers.
That's a bonkers plan for Xena. However, super bonkers. What does he think? She's just going to be like, okay, I'm going to do that.
Go run the tavern.
Yeah.
Where everyone knows your name.
It's nice that, let's get into it. It's nice that he's envisioning this nice future for her in which Gabrielle takes over and she's just hanging out at the tavern.
That's true. We all wish that could have been it, Aries.
But it is a huge line that I feel like he hits right to the heart of the kind of perhaps warrior that Gabrielle is going to be and should be. Right? He's speaking truth.
Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful description of Gabrielle.
He's not wrong at all.
And I think really doesn't point to the difference between her and Xena, because we've been hitting the beat of, she's becoming so much closer in skill level to Xena. Mm-hmm. But this is something that Gabrielle has that Xena doesn't have, which is that discretion, that critical distance from violence where she would rather not do it. Whereas Xena is always going to jump to it.
This whole time, Xena is watching, her Netflix, and her face watching it is just very good because she's processing it.
She's convinced by that part. I don't know if she's convinced by the idea of being sent home to
No, not that part.
No.
The Gabrielle part.
But it's also she's reacting to Gabrielle's face, which is basically kind of I'm listening to this,
And I love the idea that Aries is learning that good leadership isn't about who's the best warrior. That good leadership is more of a spiritual question. That someone like Gabrielle might actually be better suited to rule the world. Mm-hmm. I certainly believe that.
I think so too. She makes such a great queen. Yeah. Not just of the Amazons in general.
This really important stuff is hiding in this episode. It's not really hiding. It's straight. It's right here. But, this is a good episode. I think we all really like it. But it's insane how important this stuff is to the whole show.
Yeah, but somehow for me it's not convincing.
You know what I mean?
He says the speech and it is very smart and is making important observations about the character, but I don't understand why Gabrielle should take him up on it.
Right?
I'm just what?
Well, it's the idea. Well, convinced by Aries and his offer, but not. I don't mean that. I just mean the ideas. I don't mean that.
No, I do too.
Her running up with Aries is not important.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. I think he has a great read on Gabrielle, which is one of the reasons I like this relationship so much. Is I think he does see her pretty clearly, certainly compared to Xena, who's always dealing with these kind of idealized versions of her and her own guilt about kind of being responsible for her character growth and what that means. But I just don't get why Gabrielle would want to do this at this point in her journey. And I feel like Aries hasn't come up with a good reason. And maybe Steve Sears hasn't come up with a good reason for why Gabrielle would choose to do this. Maybe if she really were in a position where it would save Xena's life.
Yeah, this is really reminding me of one of my favorite plots in Legend of the Seeker when Kaylin had to marry Darken Rahl.
Oh, yeah, that's good shit.
See, an Aries, that whole, there should have, if there was a overarching, that's not the right way to pronounce that.
There's specific reasons for doing this, and it's not just because you want to help out Aries or whatever. But Darken Rahl also came with some enticing offer for Kaylin. He's you'll work on all these charities.
I'll give you the power to do the good that you otherwise struggle to do. Yeah, there are ways of making this temptation truly tempting. But right now, you feel like this is just a sketch of a future without explaining why she needs it now. Yeah. I do think, if Steve had continued with this and, plotted out this arc, this offer would have just been the first of many such offers. And that they would have gotten more convincing. As it is, we really basically only have this
and a little bit
later that is a little bit more convincing. Yeah. But this one I think was probably designed to not actually sound all that appealing.
So he makes a sai out of thin air for her, a real metal weapon.
Which is cheating.
It is cheating, but, you know, she's his special little dumpling here.
Dumpling?
Yeah, she can have a nice pretty weapon made for her by Daddy.
Oh, no.
So Mavican't attacks, and we have a fight between Gabrielle and Mavican't.
I love how Xena, through this fight in the TV room, is just like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Oh, it's so cute. It's so sad.
Well, because Gabrielle really has the upper hand here, and
She has an actual weapon.
She's gonna kill Mavican't, and we are worried about it.
The sound design here is really cool because you hear the metallic ring very powerfully in the fight. You're very conscious of exactly Gabrielle's advantage.
But then she stops herself and says that that's what Ares wants. And throws the sai away.
If I do that, then he wins and we all lose. Good job, Gabs. She did the Luke Skywalker thing of being like, no, wait a sec. This is what they want me to do. No dark side, no.
Right, and again, Katniss and the berries.
Oh, yes, of course. Wrong franchise to reference.
Oh no, is everything just all the same?
Oh, this is my favorite. Like, Dawn is breaking through this cave, and Mavican't kicks Gabs in the face, and she falls against this, like, little...
Water pool. She was using that for, like, her wound cleaning before.
And she looks down into it and sees Xena reaching for her in the reverse.
She's already in the soup.
She's in the soup!
Put a pin in that.
But here, I like this soup, okay? This was a really moving depiction. Like, this is the first time she's seen Xena in days. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. So then it's daytime.
Oh, that was nice.
It sank in.
Oh.
It's daytime, and Gabrielle xenifies, and Mavican't runs for the sai.
And Mavicant's like, how's the wound? Because everybody's so concerned about it.
Oh, well. I don't know.
Xena...
Maybe it was supposed to look worse.
I mean, it was pretty bruised. It was, like, kind of gross.
Bruised.
It was a heavy bruise.
I mean, I don't like it. It's gross.
Xena and Mavican't discuss their fatal flaws. Gabrielle's is Xena.
Of course.
Legit.
And then she's like, Mavicant's like, nice try, I have no flaws.
If only we could have her confidence.
I know.
Like, it's great.
But Xena explains that Mavicant's real flaw is her misguided belief in her own destiny.
It's her boner for her destiny.
Her destiny isn't to kill Xena. And I love this because when she says, my destiny is to kill you, Xena says in this, like, soft, like, teasing little voice, that's wrong. I was like, ooh, that's brutal. Ouch. I felt that one. Yikes.
Guys, Xena speaks the truthiest of truths next. And she goes, your destiny is to be forgotten.
Yep.
And that is fucking legit. Because when you think about this entire series, do you think about Mavican't?
Not even one little bit.
Oh.
Not even before Velasca.
Right? So then Xena disarms her and flips them into this, like, cave. They end up hanging from vines over this, like, bottomless pit.
Yeah, Xena triggers an avalanche that traps them in this cave. So now neither of them can escape, which I don't really get, because escaping out of the cave isn't how you escape the bubble universe. Like, they have to kill each other. That's how you get out. Ares outlined this at the beginning of the episode. And yet here, there's like suddenly, as soon as Xena traps them in, Mavican't is like, no, now I'll never escape from here. And you're
She
like,
really freaks out.
what?
Yeah, she really loses it. Maybe she's claustrophobic.
Yeah, because I feel like she's not thinking clearly throughout the rest of the sequence.
So she calls for Ares' help. And he shows up and he's like, are you asking for my help?
I like the way Xena's like, yeah, she's asking for your help.
But like when he showed up and said that, did it trigger you guys? Or did it remind you guys of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when they're like, "Are you sure?
Phoning a friend? Are you sure?
Are you sure? This is your final answer?
Sure?
Yeah, right.
They just undermine your confidence so much. You're like, I'm never sure of anything. I literally have never been sure. Please stop asking me.
So Ares opens up the portal and then sends Xena through. Mavicant's like, what the fuck? You said I could ask. And he's like, yeah, I said you could ask, but I never said you should.
Ooh.
This makes no sense. I find this whole ending completely nonsensical.
That's because at the beginning he was like, Xena never asked me for anything. I
It
don't
was a
like people
trick.
asking for stuff.
Which
That's
was a
weak-
hint, because he said that to
Yeah.
Mavican't, and she just didn't register it. But I just
set
find,
up.
like, this whole episode is like a puzzle, right? Like, you know, there's sort of like, what is the solution to this? Like, the two of them switch off, fighting Mavican't. Xena can't kill her, Gabrielle can. We can't have Gabrielle killing her. What's gonna happen? You know, she's somehow gonna defeat herself. Like, at least that was my guess. And, like, I'm just so confused by what happened here. Like, she could have just killed Xena and escaped the cave. But she thinks she can't kill Xena just because she's not good enough as a warrior? Like, what is...
Well,
You
Xena
mean
is
on
better.
the ropes, you mean?
Yeah!
You wanted her to plummet down? Them all to plummet? Then they would both die.
Then
if
they'd both
just
die.
plummet down.
Yeah, I don't think Mavican't wants that either.
Right.
But just this whole idea that, like, Xena tells her, your legacy is ruined because now you're going to be trapped in this cave even if
Right.
you kill me, which is wrong.
Right.
That's not, like, if she kills Xena, she's out of the cave.
Right.
She made it seem like the cave was like a real place that you would be trapped in.
Mavican't panicked,
She,
okay?
yeah, she tried to attack her via this idea of her
Destiny.
Like, she kind of tried to do psychological warfare.
Which was her flaw. Her
Yeah.
flaw was that was her Achilles heel, going after the...
And I like that, but I wish, like, it had actually, like, made sense as warfare. Like,
as part of the rules
you
of this
you wish
episode.
Mavican't had been like, wait a minute, no, I can get out of here still.
You can maybe forgive her for panicking, but not, like, the rules of the narrative as set up.
They actually just should have been different rules, maybe. Then I totally like the solution to the puzzle, if it made sense. Definitely the one, like, Mavican't had, like, a single characterization, so of course I would like that one thing to be involved in her demise.
Xena and Gabrielle fly out of the Hunger Games. We have 2 winners, yay! And Xena is proud of Gabs.
So nice!
Ares, meanwhile, is like, oh, please, I gave her an opportunity for greatness.
Xena's also like, how's your wound? Is it okay? It's fine. Okay, it's just fine. It's really, like, halfway healed now. It's
Just put
all
a Band-Aid
good.
on it. It's fine. Xena goes, following you, Ares, isn't an opportunity. It's a curse.
It's a good line.
Oh, you know what another good line is?
You say Minotaur, I say Minotaur.
That's a great line.
Whatever.
I love it.
And I love that Ares is so self-aware. He's like, yeah, you think it's a curse, but it's amazing. You know it's amazing.
I just always love that at the end of these episodes, he just, like, leaves them alone. Even though he could continue menacing them every waking
he could
moment of
literally,
their lives.
I think he's a little ashamed. It didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to. He needs some time to lick his wounds. It's all right. He's putting on a brave face right now, but I think inside he's really heartbroken.
So, actually, Xena knew about the whole asking for help thing, that it was a trick. Because years ago, Ares told her anyone asking for his help doesn't deserve it. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting.
She had inside information.
And this is very Xena. Xena never asks for help. She's learned that over the years. Maybe it's from being with Ares. Maybe it's just from being alive in the world. But that's not a thing she's great at.
And then she was surprised that Gabrielle didn't take his offer. Or didn't consider it.
She was more convinced by it than Gabrielle was, I guess. And it's true that, you know what? Gabrielle doesn't really like asking for help. That's not something Gabrielle does all that often. So you kind of see how she's Ares type.
Gabrielle answers with, what he said doesn't matter. I know you. Sometimes I wonder if you really know me. But I know what's in your heart. Oh my God, you guys. That was upsetting.
Do you think it's true? Do you think Xena doesn't understand Gabrielle the way Gabrielle understands
Well, I
Xena?
think that
Yeah.
in the concept of this episode, I think it's more Xena being, like, resistant or stubborn
About
to
her changing.
understanding it. Yeah. So it's like there's, like, a willful not understanding, even though she does underneath that see what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, in some ways you feel like thinking about Xena with Gabrielle last season, she almost seemed to understand Gabrielle better than Gabrielle understood herself, because you feel like Xena had misgivings about the whole way of love thing that Gabrielle herself couldn't see. So in that sense, she understood Gabrielle more.
Well, I think Gabs has found something that, like, she really feels like it fits for her. So it happens to be Xena's thing, and Xena maybe isn't there yet. And she says so much. She says, Gabrielle, I do see you. Sometimes I have trouble facing it.
Well, that's what I just said.
But I promise I will.
That's how you know what you said is good, if Xena then repeats it.
I literally forgot she even said it, but I had it in my notes. See? I'm right.
So that really kind of made Gabs verklempt. Like, that really touched her.
I love that reaction. She is so choked up. Oh my god, it's so, it's like, I'm good.
And those are feelings she can't control. That means that really, really, really affected her.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I went into this episode being skeptical of the whole situation because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen Xena treating Gabrielle this way. But then her reaction there at the end is so honest that it makes you go, oh, I don't care. I feel like it was happening even if we never saw it on screen. I believe Xena was treating you like you were a kid and you're really, like, frustrated and like you need to be seen and recognized and acknowledged, and it's so powerful for her here. Love it.
Oh, she's so grown up, baby.
Yeah.
Gabrielle becoming warrior bard. What we decided that was their portmanteau ship name, not a portmanteau, but their modern ship name is warrior bard.
Yeah,
which is funny because that's how we describe Gabrielle.
That's what I was saying just now. Yeah, that, like, if she's warrior bard.
Yeah.
Well,
she is the ship.
It's fine. It all makes sense.
So then they joke about how maybe Ares did some good after all.
It was a bit of couples therapy.
Yeah, it made them communicate with each other.
He whisked them away to, like, one of those trust retreats where you have to, like, catch the other person.
He seems to really understand them. He really...
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He seems to get both sides of this relationship really well.
And as they walk off towards the end of the episode, Xena promises to give Gabrielle the next 7 little bad guys.
Cute stuff.
To fight. And she's like, is that because I'm small? And she's like, yeah.
Well, but she, like, does the, like, a funny thing where she's like, I just can't reach them. Very sweet.
I was like, the show doesn't usually make a lot of cracks about Renee's height. I like it. I wish they did it more.
It's like Scully can't reach the pedals because of her little feet.
Oh, Scully's little feet.
Yeah. Which the X-Files did first.
X-Files does it all the time, so I wish Xena would learn from its example. So, what do you think of this episode, guys?
I like it.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that Mavican't was better, but the idea, for that character is so strong and was there. That's why you kind of want it to be slightly better. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
I think this is maybe one of the most imaginative premises in the whole show. I think it's so cool. Like, I just love the idea of Xena and Gabrielle sharing a body and making the switch between day and night. I think that's a really beautiful image. It kind of reminds me of the yin-yang, the light and the dark. Yeah. And this idea that, if you combine kind of Xena's strengths and Gabrielle's strengths, you have, like, the perfect person. You have a whole person. I think that's a really
That's why I said Warrior Bard made sense to just call Gabrielle that.
Yeah, because she is. She's the best of Xena and the best of herself. Yeah. That's why she's so great.
Oh, no. It's so good. Whoa.
Yeah. So, I think that's a really cool metaphor for what happens when you have these two characters kind of evolving the way they are evolving on the show. And kind of both being opposites, but also, like, coming to resemble each other more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you saw it finally, Liv.
Yeah, I'm really happy I saw it, but I'm sad I have no more Steve Sears episodes in my future.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Well, we'll get into that soon enough.
Soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess you guys can follow us on all this stuff and things.
Yep. XenaWarriorPodcast.com has all the links to everything you could ever want. Please find us on Apple Podcasts where you can listen and rate and leave reviews. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/XenaWarriorPodcast. Everybody go talk about Xena on all the social medias. We're Xena Warrior Podcast on Facebook and Tumblr and Instagram, and on Twitter at Xena Warrior Pod.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast!